Hello everyone and welcome. Today we're talking about 401ks and the tremendous impact that they can have on your retirement. If you're not already familiar, a 401k itself is not the investment. A 401k is essentially a house that your investment lives in. Now, if it's confusing what kind of investments you want to put into your 401k, don't worry about it too much. We won't get into detail in this video, but essentially they have what's called a target date fund. And what that target date fund means is it'll look at the target date of when you plan to retire, map backwards, and pre-build a portfolio for you that may be a little bit higher risk earlier on when you have more time, and then as time goes on it will become less and less risky. That way by the time you get to retirement it is risk adverse, so you have more money. Typically higher risk translates to higher return, but again there's that increased risk, and then over time you'll get less and less returns, but you get more stability by being more risk adverse. So you can get a target date fund as something that's set up in your account. Every employer is different. I would look into it with your own employer, but that's something to consider if you don't want to manage the actual investments in the 401k. But the focus of this video isn't necessarily the investments in the 401k, it's the 401k itself. The biggest benefit of having a 401k is the company match. Your company likely has a match program set up for you. Essentially, if you take 1% of your paycheck and put it into your 401k account, your company will likely match you at 1%. So if that's $10 that you just put into your account, your company will then put $10 for you into the account as well. So now you put in $10, but there's $20 sitting in your account. That's a combination of what you contributed and then your employer's match. Now 1% is pretty low. Typically it's somewhere in the range of you putting in around 5% and your employer matching at around 4%. So say 5% of your paycheck is $100, that means your employer would be putting in $80. So now you've contributed $100, they give you $80, so you have a total of $180 in the account. Like I mentioned before, this is an investment, and so that $180 will likely grow over time. So think about it this way: if you put in $100 into your account every single paycheck, that's typically 26 paychecks over the year. You'd have $2,600 in the account of what money you contributed. But with your employer's match at 4%, meaning $80 per paycheck times 26, that's $2,080. So now you have over $4,600 in the account as a combination of what you contributed plus your employer's match. That is why it is so critical and why everyone recommends that if you have a 401k option to at least take advantage of the match. You can put in way more than the 5% or whatever the minimum is for your company, but at least put in enough to capture that match. From there, that $4,000 or $5,000 over the year will grow with interest, and every year you'll get what's called compounding interest, so it will continue to grow. Essentially, that is your interest makes interest, which makes more interest, which makes more interest. In over the course of 30-40 years, the interest that you're making continues to grow over and over again, and the idea is called compounding interest. So just think about that. You put in $100, you get matched $80. That's an 80% return on your investment right away. Say you make 5% off your total return right there, you're making a lot of money for your retirement. Now, when you're going through your 401k plan details, you may come across what's called vested or vesting amounts, or some form of the word vested. What that means is how much of the money that your employer contributed to you is actually your money. So say you started with a company and you've been putting in $100 per paycheck every paycheck for the last year. That means your employer has been putting in their $80 every paycheck as well, but then at the end of the year you leave the company. How much of that money is actually yours to keep? Well, any money that you put in yourself is always going to be yours to keep, but how much of the money your employer matched determines on the vesting rules. If you're 100% vested right away, that means all of the money that your employer matched is yours regardless of when you leave. So if you work for a company for a couple months and you qualified for their 401k plan and got match money and then you leave, as long as you're vested 100% right away, that is all your money. Some employers have it set up that way where you're vested 100% right away, meaning that's all of your money regardless of when you leave. Some employers have it as a more staggered plan where you gain, say, 25% every year. So after 1 year, you get 25% of that money. After 2 years, you get 50% of that money. 3 years would be 75%, and then 4 years, of course, would be 100%. Now that money is sitting in your account growing for you during this entire time. This is just in the event that you leave the company. If you leave the company 3 years in, under those rules, you would keep 75% of those dollars after you've left. Vesting rules really is dependent on the company, and that's something you're going to have to find out either through HR or the plan documents that are provided to you. So how should you treat your 401k money? You should really treat this as retirement money that you shouldn't touch until retirement. You should be putting money in, not even thinking about it, and just letting it grow. You will have the option of what's called a 401k loan, but there are 4 reasons why I would recommend you not take out that loan. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is just my opinion. So don't sue me if you do take any of these steps, but just my advice would be to not take out a 401k loan. This isn't just my advice. This is the advice of many financial advisors. Right now, we're in the coronavirus lockdown situation. Things are starting to open up back now, but they've made rules a little bit less strict on how much money you can loan or what the regulations are. And even in this environment, they're still recommending that if you don't have to loan yourself money, don't. This should be your last resort. But barring any coronavirus regulation, the typical regulation is that if you take out a 401k loan, whatever dollar amount that you loan to yourself gets hit with a 10% penalty. So say you want to take out $1,000, right off the bat, you owe $100 in a penalty. The second negative aspect about taking out a 401k loan is that you are set up with a payment plan to pay this money back, and during this payment plan, your employer will not be matching any money. So you lose out on any of that match money during the time that you're paying back your loan. The third negative is the opportunity cost of not letting your money grow, but taking it out and spending it elsewhere. That money can't grow if it's not sitting in your account, so you lose out on that opportunity. And the fourth area of why I recommend you not take out a 401k loan is that if you get your employment terminated or you leave the company, or if you are not with your company in any way, shape, or form, you owe that money back within a certain period of time. If you do not pay that money back within that period of time, it is considered a paycheck. And as I mentioned before, this money goes into your account pre-tax. So now you just got this massive paycheck that hasn't been taxed. So come the next tax season, you're going to owe whatever it would be on taxes for that 401k loan. I read a story recently where a family did this. They took out a massive 401k loan to remodel their house. Shortly after, the husband lost his job and needed to repay the money. But that money had already been tied up in renovation costs for their house, so they were unable to pay the money back. That led to a massive tax bill the following year, which led to even more financial trouble for them. They've since been able to work themselves out of that, and they're in the clear now, but that's just one reason why you really shouldn't be loaning from your 401k. You don't fully control your employment with your company, and if at any point in time that employment is terminated, either from you leaving or the company doing it on their own, you're going to have to repay that money. And the chances are you don't have the money to repay if you're taking it out in a loan in the first place. So I would recommend not taking out a 401k loan. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but just looking through those 4 areas of the penalty, not getting the match money, the opportunity cost of not letting that money grow, but spending it on something else, and then the risk of losing your job and then needing to owe that money before that period is over. So a 401k can have some significant benefits for your retirement. You not only get money pre-tax that goes in that can grow, you get that match money that can really help grow your retirement savings. But on the flip side, if you don't manage the money well, take out a 401k loan, you could really sabotage some of your efforts here. With that, I hope this video has helped you understand some core concepts around the idea of a 401k and some things that you should be doing with the account versus what you shouldn't be doing with the account. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I ask that you please like and subscribe. Thank you.